Howdy all Molex Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright, I decided to come out here and investigate one of the nearby houses to my base now that I've got myself established in this new area. And I do probably, once I get a vehicle going, I'll try and head back and grab my stuff from the previous place. Because I do have quite a bit of stuff stored at my previous base, but for right now, we'll just concentrate on exploring around this little town area here. Yes. Oh, crap. I hate those guys. I should probably eat this. So, yeah, nice and peaceful this week. No parties, no weddings, no funerals, none of that stuff. A little bit of cold, maybe, or allergies, not sure. We are reaching the bad weather for my head, so it's hard to know. I've always had problems with weather changes, and I don't know, it kicks off my sinuses something fierce. And so this last week, I mowed the lawn on Thursday because it was supposed to rain on Friday. It did not really. I mean, it did rain on Friday, but it didn't rain a lot on Friday like I thought it was gonna. But yesterday, today's Sunday, so Saturday was a high of 58 degrees with a low of 41 degrees. And so when I mowed the lawn on Thursday, it was a low of 68 degrees with a high of 83. So that's a crazy jump in temperature. It's supposed to be back in the 80s again this week. So yesterday was a high of 58. Today's a high of 73. So yeah, my sinuses don't do well with that. The rapid temperature changes just does me in. I get what they call seasonal migraines from that kind of stuff. I don't have a migraine though. Just either the cold everybody had doesn't want to leave, or allergies or sinuses or something. I don't know. But for about a week now, I might get just a tinge of a sore throat or a scratchy throat, or I'll get all stuffy for a little bit. Well, listen, you guys wouldn't come down, you wouldn't let me back up. I don't know. That was a little irritating to me. Especially when it wouldn't acknowledge that I was stabbing the one. That was a little irritating. Okay, what do we pick up here that I don't need to carry on me? Ooh, and lead and brass. A lot of food stuff this time. That's always good. Oh yeah, and I got upgrade for the old pipe machine gun here. Get rid of that one. Potatoes. Potatoes are awesome. Um, Oop, that doesn't go in there. Oh, and I need those. Oh, look at my poor here as well. Okay, and let's put some bullets in this guy. Just in case, I need 9 shots. Yeah, so it's been a little irritating, but everybody else got like way worse cough and stuff than I have ended up with so far. But I mean, they had it last weekend. You'd think I'd have it by now if I was gonna get it. So I don't know what's happening. Like I've almost fought it off, right? I don't know if that's a thing. Is that a thing to almost fight off a cold? Just not quite. So I didn't record the last couple days because I was afraid that I would irritate my throat enough to send it to a full-on session, and I didn't want that. And so, yeah, here we are. Yeah, I went to mow the lawn on Thursday, and I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and take some extra time, and I'm gonna aerate my lawn. So I've got a hard packed clay lawn. It's awful, and it's like walking on uneven stone. I tell you sometimes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out here, and I looked up a while ago, a couple years ago, what to do about it, and they're like, well, you can get this chemical, and it's like $200 per square yard. I'm like, well, that's not happening. I have a pretty big lawn, and you know, as I've mentioned before, I'm very rural, and so we live on a property, not a lot, and so there's a lot of lawn, and it takes me like 3 hours to mow the thing. So I'm not gonna. Okay, I'm not gonna manage to afford the multiple applications of this chemical. And they're like, well, the other thing you can do is you get a plug aerator, and you aerate your lawn a couple of times a year, and you do that for like 20 years. I'm like, okay. How much is a plug aerator? A plug aerator is not expensive. Like $300, I think it cost me. I mean, that's not cheap. Don't get me wrong. That's a good. Okay, this is the worst trap ever. First, zombies won't come down. You can't get up and down here very easy. And then they cheat and jump on you from behind. Look at, now he's gonna go down there? Really? So when I'm down there, you won't come down there to fight me, but now that I'm back up here, you run away. Oh. Just die already, okay? Thank you. Ridiculous. Alright. And so about this plug aerator thing. What it does is it's got like little, I don't know what you call them, hollow tubes, and they jam in the ground, and then they pull out about inch and a half of dirt and grass. Um, and then just dump them out on the grass. You can go through and sweep them up or whatever, but it also said you can just run them over with the lawnmower. So I just leave them. And so usually I go out and I nomad outfit, huh? So it's a lot less armor. I mean, the nomad outfit is better armor than what I was wearing, but it's noisier. All right. It's not a bad find, I guess. I don't mind being a little noisier if it means I take a couple of hits easier. Are you gonna get up here or just... So usually when I go out and use the aerator, what I do is we have a lot of trees, so I gotta go around all the trees and, you know, around the outside edge of everything, and I do that. Well, this time I thought, you know, the aerator follows behind the lawnmower pretty good, and so I should be able to just, you know, I don't want to use it in the ditch areas because you're kind of on an angle, and I'm afraid it'll tip over and yank me over with it. And so I did the ditch areas first, and then I went and I hooked up to the oh, now we got the ranger outfit too. Better health, less armor, better stamina, mobility, and less noise. Let's just take a look at it. I mean, it's cool. I'm gonna stick with better armor. In fact, that means we could probably scrap this. Good finds. Oh, look, there's another bag. I almost missed this other bag. Oh, yeah, I always take a nice sharp stick. You've unlocked spears, quality level 4. Should I make a new spear? I would, but I don't have enough plant fibers. Oh, is there not a way out of this place? Usually there's a way out. I missed the easy way out. So yeah, so I went out and yeah, I'm not gonna dig through all that. Just go out the window over here. So I went out and I started going around with the with the aerator thing behind me. I'm on a riding lawnmower, so it's a pretty big device. It's probably, I don't know, what, 3-ish feet across. It's got 2 wheels on either side, and then all through the middle of it, it's got like it's not a pizza cutter, but it's like it's kind of like a pizza cutter, but with, you know, hollow tubes arranged in a star pattern instead of just a blade. And so it's got like, I don't know, how many of those are there? One. There must be 6 of those spread across the 3 or so feet. And so you use this lever to lift the wheels off the ground, and so just those aerator parts are touching the ground, and so when you go, they spin, and you know, and that's how it works. And When I say they spin, what I mean is they rotate like they were the wheels, but instead they're poking holes in the ground and yanking out dirt and grass. And so it's supposed to help like water and air and microbes and stuff get down into the clay better, and help break it up. And so, um, anyways, I go out and I'm driving. I start driving around, and I'm like, "Ooh, the ground is." Oh no. I guess I didn't attempt to go back up here. All right, I need some fiber. Do I have wood on me? I do. I have wood. Okay. I need. Well, I want to make a new stone spear here, but I also need some ladders. Like I don't know, 10 ladders should be fine. And so everything's going fine, but the ground is really hard. I thought it wouldn't be as hard, uh, because it had rained not too long ago, but it might have been a week ago when I went to mow the lawn since it rained. Apparently, it had baked the soil hard as a rock, and so I'm like, this isn't going in very well today, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyways because it's working, but it's just not working well. Uh, and so what that means is the tines weren't going into the soil very deeply or at all in some spots. And I was like, man, I'm just gonna get it done. I know I should probably care more, but whatever. And so I'm going around and around, and I went around one of the bushes, and the wheel got hung on the bush that's next to the bush I was going around, and I didn't realize it. And all of a sudden, the whole riding lawnmower just starts sliding sideways. And so I stop it and I back up and I'm looking and I go forward and I make it through. I'm like, okay, well, I must have got hung on that. And so then I keep going. And then when I get around, I notice that I'm leaving weird trenches in the ground. I'm like, oh no! And so I stop and I get off the lawnmower um and I go behind the lawnmower. And what has happened is the wheel being up in the air on the aerator, I got hung on the stem trunk. I don't know what to call it on a bush. It's not really a trunk. It's not a stem. What do you call the part of a bush that comes out of the ground? It must be a trunk? Stem? I'll bet there's a word for it, but I don't know what it is. Um and so I got hung on the grouping of stems, trunks of the bush and yanked the wheel sideways. Um and bent the frame that the wheel is on, and so now the wheel is in the way of one of the spinners. And I'm like, great, I've ruined my machine. So I put the wheels down and drove it back to the shed, and then I tried to pin it back into place, but that was not happening. I didn't have the tool I needed, basically. Uh I was I just put bullets in with the medicine. I don't know what was going on there. Also, I have aloe vera in with the bullets. Legendary parts. I've never used those. I don't know what they're for. Should probably keep those with me. Oh, you know what? You don't belong with me. You know, you should be down there with those. Also, I need to label my boxes yet. Oh, look, I've still got parts on me too. Okay. There we go. Okay, now we're good. Now we're good. But yeah, so unfortunately, I twisted that all in place, and then trying to bend it back into place, all I had was basically a big hammer. And so I was trying to hammer it back into place, and I don't think that worked at all. And then the last couple of days, after then I unhooked it all, and I just went and finished mowing the lawn. Because it didn't bother the lawnmower, it just bothered the aerator. So I've got to find my pipe wrenches. I know we've got some really big pipe wrenches, and so I think if I take a pipe wrench to it, I can probably bend it back into place. Because let's be honest, I'm not going anywhere with the wheels down, really. So all I really need is the wow. Thank you. There you go. Got how to use a spear there for a second, apparently. All I really need is the tines cleared so that they'll spin again. But I couldn't do it with the big hammer. I've got to find... We have some really big pipe wrenches, so I think if I flip that thing on its side... Oh, and you have to have a weight on it, and so I had a cement bag, like a bag of cement. I don't know why I said cement bag. Like, that's a thing. You don't just call them cement bags. It's like a bag of cement. I'm here in a construction area. I thought maybe I could see one. In the back of it to give me some extra weight. And, oh, like this. Like one of these right here. One of these. Bag of concrete. Just like that. Laid down in the back of this thing, because you're supposed to add weight to it up to 80 pounds or something. So a bag of cement is like 40 pounds. And would you believe that when I lifted the cement bag out of the back of it so I could flip it over, the bag tore, and I'm like, oh great. And so I spilled a little handful of cement out, and then I did all that work with the hammer and stuff trying to bend it back into place, and it wasn't working, so I laid it back down. And then I went to put the bag of cement back into it, and I tore the bag open even more. So now I've got like 3 handfuls of cement laying in the lawn. And then I went to snatch it up, the tongue on the end of it. That's the part that you hook onto the lawnmower. And when I grabbed the tongue, it flipped up and over and dumped that bag out and tore the bag in half. And so then I ended up with an entire bag of cement laying in my lawn. Man, I was not happy. It was... I cannot aim my spear today, I tell you. Whoop. Stick that guy in the intestines there. Okay. And then, of course, you know, the next day, I must have tweaked my neck something doing all that work on that because I've unlocked Harvesting Tool, Iron Tools, Quality 5 already. You know I haven't unlocked? The Forge. We are now the opposite of what I had last time. Ooh, nice. Ooh. Those are a lot better than what I'm wearing. It's not bad finding all this armor today. That's some nice upgrades. Let me survive my inability to use my spear. Okay, I did get a point. I have 5 points available. Okay. I think I'm going to put some more points into this. Because I thought putting points into stuff would make you find the books. Better? Oh, that's not enough. And I'd really, really like to find... I'd really like to find, the books related to this stuff, so let's see if that helps. I know some of them say if you put a point into it, it'll increase your chance of finding the books. So I've got them for, like, the tools and stuff, but I don't know which one lets you find the Forge books faster. Now I didn't find anything at all. But yes, I've been fighting with this sore neck for the last couple days now, and I don't appreciate that at all, for sure. Well, I don't appreciate falling in a hole in the ground either. I'm not very appreciative today. That's what I'm hearing. Hey, bud. What you got back here? Your little secret underground bar. You know, I saw that and I was excited because I thought it was a bookshelf. Did you go wandering back there like a cat to die? All right. More potatoes. And up to 14 on the cooking. That's awesome. Oh. 15 on the cooking. Yeah, I still don't like this book system. I'm sad that this is what made it in. It came out of nowhere. And I don't like it. Uh, it's too RNG and ruins tech tree. Oh, that's nice. I got some. Oh, I didn't want that potted plant. I saw it just said I could click on it, and I'm like, I'm gonna click on it. Nah. It's mine, see? That's okay, these guys are gonna kill me and send me back to my base. But yeah, I don't know. I watched the I guess real quick here while I'm finished scrounging around this place. I watched the new director's cuts of Rebel Moon 1 2. I hadn't seen Rebel Moon Part 2 before. I liked it. They're not amazing by any means, but they're decent. I liked episode 2 better than episode 1. My big problem with Rebel Moon Part 1 was there wasn't enough backstory for the people, and Part 2 covered that. I will say I feel like the story needed to be a little more tight. I know it's my one big complaint, and that is I feel like they've forgotten how to do stories. It seems like everything I go to watch are like a collection of scenes that star the same people. And but they don't really connect the scenes together in any meaningful way. And you know, it used to be a thing where and I know one of the big causes of it is digital. And so the cost of like filming, like the actual cost of the film part, has gone way down to nothing, right? Now it's just storage space. How much storage space do you have? And so they can film hours and hours and hours. Whereas before you were limited because every reel of film was super expensive, and so every moment of film used counted. And so, but now they can film as much as they want. Well, not as much as they want, but you know, they can film a ton more than they used to. And so now, instead of having to carefully craft everything, right, they just film. And so I think it's actually a detriment to movies. I mean, I love like extended sequences and director's cuts and that kind of thing, right? I like seeing what the editor cut out, or you know, whoever edited the movie, because sometimes I feel like those scenes matter, and you know, and so they improve on the story, or they let you see extra things that, you know, enhance the story. But the opposite of that is that they film too much now, and so too much makes it in. And so when they edit stuff, like I said, it doesn't feel super, they're gonna get me. There's too many of them. I can't fight them all off. Yep. And so, I mean, it's cool to have your different scenes, but I don't need some of your scenes in the movie. They don't add to the story. And so they shouldn't be there if they don't add to the story. And some movies are just scenes. And so I'll sit down and I'll watch something, and I was trying to think off the top of my head. I can't think of anything, but Rebel Moon suffered a little bit from this, and not too badly. I was actually surprised at how well most of it fit together. I will say, some of it's a little weird. Like I liked they added in parts for the robot character, because the robot character has got the coolest backstory, I think. And so it's cool seeing him have to come out of um his programming and slowly, I wouldn't call it going native, but kind of going native. And so they added a lot of extra scenes with that, but then they don't use the robot, and I was like, that's really disappointing. He shows up for like one time, and then Ghost in the Shell's this tank. If you've never seen Ghost in the Shell, not the live action movie. I don't remember if it's in the live action movie. I assume it is, but in the original animated movie, there's this really cool scene where there's a tank, and everybody's on foot, and this tank starts shooting at people, and so the main character jumps on top of it, and she grabs the top of the tank and tries to pull it off because she's in a robot body, and the tank is stronger than she is, so it tears apart her joints and hydraulic pumps and stuff like that. And it's really coolly animated because you can see like all the cables under her skin get all taut and start tearing apart her body as the stresses just are too much for it. Um, and he isn't affected by that. He obviously, he's a super strong, nearly invincible robot apparently. And I don't know why I kept those boots. What was that? Oh, potted plant. And so he just jumps on top of it and tears it open. But yeah, they didn't use the robot enough, and at least one of the characters I don't understand his purpose. Um, and I guess spoilers, right? So they go and they collect all these people, and then they bring the people back, and then each person's supposed to have this ability, right? That makes them why you would go and get them, and then they don't use their abilities, and I found that to be weird. So like there's this swordswoman, right? And so when they get her, she fights this giant spider creature, and she's all like sliding underneath of it and spinning around it and blocking its attacks and stuff. But then in the second movie, when she fights, she's like not cutting the people while she's dodging around them, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why isn't she cutting these people? I don't understand. And then one of the guys is supposed to be this great general. Now, a general is the guy who leads. So he's hit out on a planet where he's doing the gladiator thing. Okay, so clearly he's also a strong fighter, and so they bring him back. And then they're like, oh, they've got the genius general, whatever his name was. I don't remember anybody's names. And I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And then there are no battle tactics at all employed. They dig some trenches, and that's it. That's the extent of their battle tactics. I'm like, really? He's a genius general? He didn't even separate the people into groups. They didn't show him really training them very much. They didn't set up any real traps. I don't understand. Like they know that the ship can just blow them up from orbit, so they need some reason for them to come to the village, and so they know the open area where they can land is down the path. So why aren't there some traps to stop the soldiers and the tanks and stuff before they get to the village? I don't understand. They didn't do any of that. And then I think the strangest one to me is there's this guy, and in the first movie he tames a griffin, and then in the second movie they show his backstory. It's all with he lives on a planet full of griffins, and I'm like, there are no animals in this movie. Like, I don't understand. There are animals in the movie, but like, what's the point of this guy? He he doesn't have a point. He doesn't serve a purpose. They already have people whose families have been killed by the Empire. We don't need another guy whose family's been killed by the Empire. We need a guy who can do something. And this guy doesn't do anything. There's nothing about him that makes him special. I'm just like, I mean, no, that's not true. He can tame a griffin. But you know what he doesn't have? A griffin. So he just seems like an extra scene that didn't have a point. And then one of the new things in the first movie was they added some background for a character who didn't really need background. Well, I guess he did after I watched the second movie because he becomes part of the team. But in the first movie, he wasn't really part of the team. He's one of the soldiers, and so they do this background. But the problem is the background doesn't fit the soldier, and so they show him like they're attacking the family, like the chancellor that runs the planet, and they're after him and his family, and they're killing everybody around him, and then they've got the family there, and then they're like, they grab the kid, and they're like, this is your choice. You can either take this and beat your father to death with it, or we will kill your mother and your sister. And so the father's like, just do it. And so he beats his father to death with the cudgel. And I'm like, all right. And then they take the kid and they're going to put him in the army. I'm like, okay. And so, but then when you get to the non-new scenes, right? The original movie, he's just like the private who's nicer than all the veterans, right? He hasn't been turned into the other thing yet. But the backstory they show for him in the new extended scenes doesn't fit his personality because he's just a nice kid in the rest of it, but he wasn't a nice kid in the beginning. And I don't mean like he should be like crazy, but he should be like emotionally distraught over being forced to be part of the military, and he's not. He's not at all. He's just the new green recruit. And so I'm like, yeah, that doesn't fit. And yeah, so it suffered a little bit from that, but not as bad as some other movies. I've seen a lot of movies in the last few years where you can tell they just kept filming and filming. Or like, I was gonna go into this. Man, I've gone on too long now. Okay, just let me rant a little bit about Taika Waititi. However his name is pronounced, I can never remember. I can't stand Taika Waititi. I don't like his shows. I don't like his acting. I don't like What We Do in the Shadows. I don't like JoJo's Adventure, whatever that's called, with the Jojo Rabbit's Adventure thing about the Nazi kid. I didn't like that. I don't like it. It's all awful to me. And then like I like the Thor movies, and then after he's in the Thor movies become worse and worse. And then he wrote and directed Thor Love and Thunder, and then I found out how he filmed it. That dude didn't even have a script, apparently. He would come up with an idea, and then they would film it. And because they're on digital, right, he can film as many times as he wants, as long as he can keep the actors. And so they were talking about how what he would do is he'd come in and he'd film a scene, and then he'd come up with an idea while they're filming the scene, and then they would shoot the scene over because he changed the dialogue or he changed what they were doing, and he just kept doing that over and over. And then when they get the scene the way he wanted it, he'd realize that scene no longer fit with a previous scene, so then they'd have to go back and film the previous scene to make it fit with the thing he just did because he didn't have a script. And I'm just like, that's insane. That's why movies are getting worse and worse in that regard. Dude, you gotta have a script. You gotta plan it out. You gotta make it a story. Stop filming scenes. I understand a movie moves from scene to scene, but it's supposed to be one story from beginning to end. Not here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene. I'm not saying that you can't have a movie like that if that's the purpose of the movie, but every movie shouldn't have that as its purpose. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to call it. So be better than small things, lean to the light. I will talk to you later.